The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Hey man, if you think you're having a rough day, just remember, you could have 8 kids!
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, happy Thursday or whenever the hell you're listening to this, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks, part of the number one sports podcast network in the world. My name is Trevor Beggs, sports reporter for Daily Hive. That guy is Kyle Bhawan. Kyle just taught me today that Robert Saleh has 8 kids. So I'm going to remember that next time I'm having a rough day, because that's a handful. Speaking of kids, Conor Garland's got a kid. He's got another one on the way. Will he continue to be a dad of these Vancouver Canucks? Will he continue to be with the Vancouver Canucks? Let's touch on that, because there was a report today suggesting that the Canucks don't really want to move Conor Garland, whether they should or not. So let's get into the Garland conundrum. Should the Canucks trade him? Should the Canucks keep him? Insulate the young kids. We'll also get into the NHL's biggest loser outside of the Vancouver Canucks and talk about a couple bros being back together. First and foremost, though, Kyle Bhawan, when are you going to start having 8 kids?
I don't know, man. That's a lot. That's a lot to handle. I thought you were going to say, hey, speaking of 8, how about we talk about number 8, Conor Garland? But you just went in there and told the world that he's having a second kid. I guess that's
he told the world himself on After Hours a couple weeks back. So I don't think I'm not breaking some insider information here.
He's having Canadian kids, man.
Yeah.
For real. He wants to raise a family in Canada, dude.
And look, that means something, right? Like he talked about that After Hours interview, how his son was born in Vancouver, how his upcoming daughter will also be born in Vancouver, Ooh. How he feels a connection to the city. And look, he sounds like a guy, obviously we know the Conor Garland journey, right? Works his way up through the minors. He told the story as well about, basically people looking at him when he joined the Moncton Wildcats, or whatever the heck their junior team name is. And guys looked at him like, who the hell is this scrawny little shrimpy kid, right? Like, he is an incredible story of perseverance and an incredible story for other young guys in this organization, that you should never quit. Never say die. Have that FU attitude. This guy embodies that.
Okay.
And look,
yeah, he does, but he doesn't have points in his last 11, 12 games. He's obviously taken a step back into giving it his all for the Canucks, considering that like his best pal / godfather of his kid is now in Minnesota. Like is this I just worry, you need veterans and you need guys who try hard. And in essence, he is somewhat of a leader. He is a leader, like on the ice when he's on, he's a guy that rallies the troops, but like, is he another guy that lets the noise get to him? And I don't want young players going into that room having this understanding that eventually the noise is going to get to you. And it's, after a couple weeks, it's going to pass. How about like after a couple minutes, it's going to pass? You know what I'm saying? And as much as I love Garland, I am over analyzing what's been going on since the Quinn Hughes trade. And he, like a lot of players, we'll mention JT Miller on the other side when we, again, if you're new to the program, if you're old to the program or been here for a while, every second segment of Locked On Canucks moving forward, we're going to break down other stories in the NHL. But look at JT Miller, a player that lost Quinn Hughes, and he's never been the same player. Like, I don't know. Like, is this going to be the last year where you can get like 2 second-round picks for Conor Garland? Maybe your first. I don't know. Trevor, like, go slap me in the face, but I'm not just like turning the blind eye to this guy just being a completely different player after the captain quit on the team. Like, to me, I'm taking that a little personal too. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, Trevor, they already traded Sherwood. I made this video like a month ago. I'm like, yo, should the Canucks just focus on trading DeBrusk and Besser and getting their picks that way and just keep guys like Sherwood and Garland because they seem to be like charismatic and bring the boys together? Like, they have that camaraderie instinctively. Like, you don't got to force the issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're natural bros. So on that regard, like, trading away another bro could be scary considering you have, again, Elias Pettersson. He's not a bro. He's like a cousin, like a second cousin, So when I hear things like, oh, they got to keep veterans, I'm always like, yo, they got to have leaders. But Trevor, I'll say this again. They got to have bros in that room. So this is a touchy one.
It is a touchy one. And look, I could see the rationale for keeping Garland if the Canucks didn't already have a lot of other immovable contracts, right? Like, I don't think it takes long to break it down. You're getting nothing for Brock Besser right now, right? I have a hard time seeing this organization sell low on Marcus Pettersson 1 year after they traded a first for him. Oh, yeah, and he's got a no-move clause. You're getting next to nothing for Jake DeBrusk. You might be lucky to get like a third-round pick if someone really values DeBrusk and he's willing to waive his no-move to go there. It doesn't sound like Hroner's going anywhere. Pettersson's the one outlier where you probably could get something of value for him. But Conor Garland's the only guy on this team that doesn't have trade protection that you could realistically get something for. And, I kind of, maybe said tongue in cheek today when I wrote about this on Daily Hive. It almost seems like Garland's, some guys maybe start playing well to get traded out of here. You'll see Evander Kane dropping the gloves of the night. It almost seems like Garland's playing to stay in Vancouver. Like, don't trade me. I just signed this contract. Because, look, Kyle, I skimmed through his game log. This 11-game pointless streak is the longest streak of his NHL career that he's gone without a point, right? Even back in the Arizona days or, some darker days in Vancouver. Like, he's never been on a point streak or a pointless streak this long. It seems like he's playing to stay in Vancouver. Like, he wants to be here. And I know that's not actually what's going on. But look, when you're a team like the Canucks and you need to build for the future, you need to get draft picks in the door. You got to trade the one of the only guys on this team who has value. And even though he's struggled, you still should be able to get something for Garland that's in the realm of the Kiefer Sherwood trade. I mean, Garland is still a good player. He's consistently put up, that 45 to 50-ish points. He's played power play. He's now our top unit penalty killer and a dog at even strength. And look, there is value in a guy like Conor Garland. I think the Kiefer Sherwood trade is a good comparable for him. But man, oh man, like, I think you have to trade Conor Garland. You have to at least explore it. And I think my not so bold prediction is we're going to hear at the deadline that, maybe, you'd be surprised at the offers we got for Conor Garland, right? Might get one of those. But the Canucks got to look at doing this. And I'd be more in favor of keeping Garland if we didn't have a lot of other veterans on the roster we couldn't move. But you have to maximize value for Conor Garland. And honestly, not that it matters with no trade protection, but I feel like a dog like that would welcome going to an environment where he could go win, right? So yeah,
I don't know, man.
Leadership aside, go find your veterans in free agency on cheap 1 to 2 year deals. Don't get attached to Conor Garland. You have to try and trade this guy.
You just have to get draft picks, man. You have to try getting a Lane Hudson in the second round, That's my philosophy. You got to try getting a Kirill Kaprizov or something after the first round. Like, you can't like ignore trading for draft capital just because you're not getting a first round pick. I don't believe in that. Second round picks to me are valuable. To me, they push the needle if you do your scouting right. And I brought this up too, Trevor, like to you on the phone. Like, how important is it actually for Z Bulliam and Tom Olander to like win next year or the year after that? Like, for me, it's because, again, everyone's like, oh, you need veterans. I'm like, yo, you need leaders. And outside of both those statements, like, dude, you kind of need to suck next year again. So trading your best players who are not going to be part of like the grand scheme of things down the road, like, that's operation number one for a team that's historically been bad. I mean, 55 plus years, they've been past the second round 3 times. This is the first time in franchise history that they have 4 picks in the last 60. Like, can we stop reading our own book on how to get it done and just copy how other teams get it done? Please. It's insanity. It is. It really is. Now, Trevor, a couple of things. I want to end on like the other point that you brought up when we talk about Conor Garland. But first off, you did say Conor Garland's a dog 5-on-5. I don't even know if he has 10 5-on-5 points this year, or does he have like honestly? Like, I just saw Canucks Army post a stat about who's leading this team on 5-on-5 scoring. It's not Elias Pettersson. He only has 15. It's Linus Karlsson. Yeah,
Linus Karlsson has 20. It goes Karlsson, Hronek, and then Kane this year.
Yeah, exactly. but Elias Pettersson doesn't have wingers. Anyways, and also like I just checked, like Conor Garland has 22 points only this season. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. Like this, if you can get a couple second round picks from him, like you got to take that. You gotta like lean on the fact that this guy might be, he could be a 50 to 60 point guy year in and year out, but he also could be like a 45 point guy every now and then, right? Like that's just Conor Garland. And I like the player. There's been times where I'm like, this guy should be like on the Olympic radar based on how good he is for like a stretch of time. Like he's such an incredible player when he's on, but I'm overanalyzing and looking at how he's been off and how he's taken it personal that Quinn Hughes got traded. And I know he's just human. I know it's hard to lose a brother. I know. But this is the NHL. And I'm not going to waste time being overly empathetic towards players on a team and on a franchise that have been bad for 10 plus years. Like enough is enough. Anywho, Trevor, last point. Do you keep Conor Garland because of the Brandon Gallagher effect? Talk about that, because you brought that up on the phone ride or the car ride, and I just wanted you to elaborate on the show.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's the Brendan Gallagher one was interesting because that was one of the few veterans Montreal decided to keep, right? And I think part of it is he liked Garland, he signed an extension, and he wasn't playing that well, and he wasn't really all that tradable, right? So, and Montreal was able to unload a lot of other veterans. I mean, look, hey, here's a fun fact. The Montreal Canadiens got Lane Hudson because they traded Brett Kulak, right? And Brett Kulak was a beloved, middle of the road defenseman for them, right? But they traded him, got a second round pick, and got freaking Lane Hudson out of it, right?
Wow.
But I think with Brendan Gallagher, again, I see the parallels between Garland and Gallagher to an extent, right? Both undersized guys who have to scrap and claw to make it to the NHL level. But the Montreal Canadiens were able to exercise their roster of a lot of other veterans. The Vancouver Canucks, I don't think, are in the same situation because of the long-term deals and the no-movement clauses they've handed out. If the Canucks didn't have no-move clauses for the Bessers, the Marcus Petterssons, the Jake DeBrusks, then I would be, and you could trade them, then I'd be more okay with keeping Garland. But because they have all those guys who are borderline immovable, you have to trade Conor Garland, right? So again, I see the rationale for both sides, but the Canucks have backed themselves into a corner where they have to trade Conor Garland.
And Trevor, again, I've come to peace with this. Impressing Z Buyam is not operation number one for the Canucks. Impressing Tom Olander and creating like a peaceful environment for them at the cost of keeping Conor Garland isn't like good business to me. It's, it's like trade Conor Garland, get the assets, then identify who could be like these stopgap leaders in free agency and bring those guys in and then ship them out next trade deadline. If you're worried about the leadership or the veteran environment in that room around a pretty young team, just because at the end of the day, Trevor, I don't know, like Z Buyam can get a lot better. Maybe he is Zach Werenski, right? That's my comp for him. But if like there's a chance he's not, and the chance that he's like, a good number two guy, like the guy that we have to prioritize building and fostering an environment around that's, again, efficient, genuine, and has that veteran component to it, that brotherhood component to it. Like that guy's not on the team yet. McKenna's not here yet. Stenberg's here now. Oh, yeah, and it's like, but you'll draft him this year. Maybe you need Garland for next year to be around McKenna. No, even then, it's like, how about we suck again next year and get DuPont? And then worry about all this jazz about creating that environment in like 2027, 2028. So all in all, I'm not really like worried about fostering an environment for any player on this team right now. It is what it is. And I'm actually curious to see like Buyam and Willander kind of figure things out on their own and become the cream of the crop when it comes to being the leaders. And I don't know if it like is harder to do so without Garland, but it's another reason why I keep saying Trey Pettersson. But nonetheless, Trevor, let's get to the other side and talk about the rest of the league. And again, every second segment on Locked On Canucks moving forward, unless some big ish happens with the Canucks, like a trade, we're going to be focusing on the NHL. So Trevor, let's shout out a friend and keep doing this on Locked On Canucks.
All right, before we get back to the show, let's shout out our friends over at Indeed. If you ever hired someone who looked good on paper or even in person, but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed's sponsored jobs. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites, because Indeed Sponsored Jobs puts your post at the top of the page, boom, bam, and helps you reach the right candidates faster. Instead of struggling to get your job post seen, Indeed's Sponsored Jobs helps your listing stand out and reach quality candidates faster. And according to the Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. So spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results. Oh yeah, baby. Do it all using Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of the show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. Locked On Canucks. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed.
Okay, we back doing this, and that's talking about hockey and friendship. Okay, Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs, with you and you and you and you. You know what? Before we talk about my relationship with Trevor, my friendship with Trevor, my bad, Trevor. Sorry, my bad for saying that. Let's get to some comment. Chris Favel saying, good name, yo. Chris Favel? I think his real name's Favelli, okay? That's what I'm going to guess. Christopher Favelli said, Canucks need vets to play the right way, and they need to find draft picks with toughness and skill that stick up for their teammates. Dude, man, I saw Matt Rempe crush an Islanders player. I feel like it was an Islanders third liner or something like that. I'm not that familiar with the Islanders lineup. And, bro, Matt Rempe got jumped. Absolutely jumped. And I tweeted that out, and I CC'd the Vancouver Canucks Twitter account. And Trevor, I'm pretty sure you and I are going to be banned from Rogers Arena pretty soon.
Yeah, I think it's been a rough week for the relationship between Locked On and the Vancouver Canucks. But hey, someone's got to ask the tough questions, and someone's got to point out that the Canucks need more toughness.
Okay, so what are you going to do today, though? Because you got compared to Brooksy, rest in peace, yesterday by, I think it was Max. What's the Maxwell? Who's the commenter? He's one. It's not Teddy.
Matt Folgers. Matt Folgers Coffee.
Matt Folgers Coffee. Yep. See, I remember the fans. Don't worry about it. He compared you to Brooksy. Again, Trevor, if you missed it, the last press conference with Adam Foote, Trevor asked a question, and Adam Foote gave him the, what type of question is that? Okay. So going into tonight's press conference, we don't know what's going to happen in the game. I can make a prediction already, though. I think the Canucks are going to get smoked. I don't know, are you shaking? Are you gonna ask a soft question? I don't know, not to put you on the spot. It's your job, it's your career. But I don't know, I'm a fan of you, Trevor. So what's going on here, dude? I feel like you're the bridge. You're getting we're gonna be calling you Bridge Beggs because you're that guy. Everyone is afraid, but you.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, look, it's part of the reason I asked that question is, I try to ask tough, fair questions. I'm also running out of ways to ask the coach. Again, fans know I've covered 14. Every dayers know I've covered 14 home games. I've seen 2 wins. It starts to get a little exhausting trying to figure out ways to ask the team why they suck. It's usually something I think about. I usually jot down some ideas when I'm at the game. So I'll try to cook up something for tonight. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but yeah, I mean, look, you can't let these guys off the hook.
Speaking of which, one of the commenters not happy with my Italian accent. But I identify as Italian sometimes, Trevor. And I'm sorry if I offended you. Okay? Trevor, sometimes you got to slap me in the face. Anyways, you know what? Sometimes I wish you were like JT Miller. What? Let's run this. What the puck?
I thought this was a Canucks show.
Ito, this WASA Canucks show.
Okay, again, this is the part of the show where we, talk about the NHL, and I guess sometimes we can connect it with the Canucks, but, nonetheless, we'll see where the segment goes in the future. But right now, again, I'm thinking, Trevor, the Canucks somehow, some way, and this sounds crazy because I'm not the biggest Marcus Pettersson fan, and Filipino is, again, Will Smith might have to check up on Filipino. Honestly, 80 years from now, like his brain may get studied. Like for real, it's that like a sensitive of an issue, and like that, it's like he's walking a fine line, skating a fine line. Also, speaking of Italians, Valentino Martini Mancini, like, sorry if that offended you too, Stomberg. And yeah, I just read a comment from Stomhawk too. Okay. Anyways, I still think we won the JT Miller trade, Trevor, because JT Miller is struggling.
Yeah, I really struggle with this, and I promise I'll give you a take at the end in a minute or two here. But I'm going to shout out this comment from Mike Laval, I believe it was, and it was something along the lines of, we won the JT Miller trade if we didn't trade that first rounder away. Absolutely. Like if you just look at the Canucks trade for JT Miller, getting the 12th overall pick, a center back in return, and Victor Mancini, Valentino Martini, baby, then of course they won the trade. But when you look at it in the totality, that it was really JT Miller for Marcus Pettersson, Drew O'Connor, Philip Hedl, and Victor Mancini, then it's starting to look like a bit more of a wash. I would still argue the Canucks won the deal because I don't think it ever made sense for the Rangers to make in the first place. And we're almost a year to the day removed from the trade. The Rangers have one more home win than the Vancouver Canucks. By the way, the Vancouver Canucks are, not even like, they're obviously on pace to have the worst home record in franchise history, but they're not even close. They've never had less than 13 home wins in a season, and they're on pace for 8 home wins right now. Like, this is catastrophically bad. I spent my morning writing about how the Canucks are on pace for less home wins than the expansion Vancouver Grizzlies. Like, it's an absolute joke, and the Rangers are still one home win above the Vancouver Canucks. They're last overall in the Eastern Conference. They're now selling off their assets. Oh, by the way, they've traded a lot of picks that they've drafted. They haven't developed properly. This organization is in a freaking mess, and their solution to it was trading for JT Miller and naming them captain. Like, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of Rangers fans, and I read a lot of Rangers fans' comments online. I've been following this story all year, and they're livid at the situation. I think at least the Canucks were trying to get a young center, got a draft pick back, got a young defender back. I'd say they won the trade, but I think we all know both teams really lost this trade at the end of the day. But if I'm picking a winner, I am picking the Vancouver Canucks.
And isn't that something? Like, again, as of right now, based on this year alone, it looks like we got off a depreciating asset, and it feels good. But at the same time, I do also feel like I'm reaching just a little bit because I don't know. I do believe like I don't know what's going on with Miller over the last 2 years. Like, he was such an incredible talent, like prior to last season. And even last season, he had 75 points in 80 games. Nonetheless, he took a big step back because it seemed as if he gave two less shits, like no more back checking and all that stuff. Like, he only did that for one season with the Canucks. But nonetheless, all I'm trying to say is, as much as I can I don't know, hop on the Rangers wagon when it comes to hating JT Miller and kind of holding on to that and feeling good about what the Canucks did there. A part of me also feels as if, Trevor, Miller will bounce back. I guess that leads me to this question. Do you think he's going to ever bounce back and become an 80-point, 90-point guy again? Because he was so good not that long ago.
I don't think he's going to bounce back to that with this Rangers team. I mean, I think he's on pace he's picked up the pace recently. He had 4 straight multi-point games last week. I believe he's on pace. I think it's 34 points in 48 games. He's on pace for 70 points right now, maybe. Is he going to get back to 80, 90 points? No, I don't see him getting better in this situation. And I know Miller's a dog. He obviously puts his body on the line when he's out there. He also floats back defensively. I mean, that's been pointed out by Rangers fans on a number of occasions. No, I don't think he's getting back to that 80, 90 point level. I think he's past his prime.
And that's something, man. That's something. Anyway, speaking of, being in your prime, guys that are not even close to passing their prime are Macklin Celebrini and Connor McDavid. And I know people hate, Oilers talk here, but at the end of the day, we need some hockey to talk about, some good hockey instead of just speculating. And I believe San Jose and Edmonton are playing tonight. And I don't know, Trevor, that to me is must watch TV. If you're a sports fan, Don't watch the NBA. You don't have to. I guess you're a Seahawks fan, and maybe you're still watching like all the highlights from this past Sunday again in a different language or something like that, or like they're doing a Nickelodeon thing, and you just want to like soak it all in. But nonetheless, like that's if you're a sports fan, like you're watching Celebrini versus McDavid tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll probably have it on my laptop as I'm in the press box covering my 15th home game of the season between the Canucks and the Ducks. Oh baby. Yeah, I mean, look, Macklin Celebrini, we saw him at Rogers Arena. Like I thought he was going to have 6 points at least that night. I know he ended the night with 4, but he's just unreal, man. He's just such a dog on the puck. He's so strong. And look, man, we'll definitely be talking more about the Olympics as we round into February here, but I hope Celebrini, McDavid, and McKinnon are all on the same line, man. Like, just load it up, baby. I don't think that's going to be the case, but man, oh man, I would love to see that.
I think it might be the case.
Why not?
I think
Best two players in the league this season.
100%. And not that they need to do it to like beat US or beat whatever. I just think that like that's just like why not? I mean, there's a chance that Crosby and Celebrini play together just because they did at the World Hockey Championships not that long ago. But like, I don't know, Celebrini, McDavid, and McKinnon. I don't know. We gotta see that, Trevor. And I don't know I'll end off with this. And again, Trevor has to leave after this segment because he has to go pick up his daughter, and I'll finish off with comments. But Trevor, like, I know he's not a Canuck, but maybe because I'm like itching for that, that West Coast bias in my crack pipe, and like I want to smoke something and I want to feel good about hockey. Like I'm excited to watch the Olympics, and I feel as if, even though I don't know the cat, like I'm gonna be rooting for Macklin Celebrini. Like he's gonna I'm not gonna be like, oh, my favorite player in the Olympics. It's not gonna be Elias Pettersson. I'm sorry, slap me in the face. Go ahead. No, it's gonna be Macklin Celebrini. Do you want to hate me for that? Because that's just the way I feel.
No, I was gonna say mine is actually Mark Michaelis, Canuck legend playing for Team Germany. Macklin Celebrini too. He's a BC bud, man. Like even at the Daily Hive office yesterday, they were interviewing some of us, not interviewing, but asking us questions about the Olympics. And they asked me like, who's going to lead Team Canada or who's going to lead the Olympics in scoring? And that's a Macklin Celebrini because I got the West Coast bias, baby.
Well, there you go, Trevor. Speaking of the West Coast bias, again, Trevor's going to leave us pretty soon here. Has to go pick up his favorite person on the West Coast, and that is his daughter. Hopefully your son's not listening to the program. So Trevor, why don't you sign us out? Well, not sign us out, but shout out one of our friends and get on the road.
Sounds good. I might stick around for a couple minutes. I got a couple other news notes from practice to go to, but we'll be back on the other side here on Locked On Canucks. Oh, let's talk about the monies, baby. Boom, bam. This episode is brought to you by Rocket Money. Let's be real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep climbing, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month. It's easy to feel like you're losing control. I don't know what to do, man. And who has time to track every transaction or hunt down every hidden fee? That's where Rocket Money comes in. It's the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. And man, oh man, Rocket Money's been helping me out in my life. The subscriptions are starting to pile up, Kyle. Going full reporter, hockey nerd mode. Shout out to Elite Prospects, shout out to Jay Fresh. All of a sudden, I'm like, yo, what's going on, man? I'm subscribed to all these apps. Rocket Money, man, they help me clean it all up. Boom, bam. Because you know what comes first before hockey? It's the Locked On Canucks fans, and then it's the family, baby. So go help Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
People, we back doing this. And again, that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. Excuse me, Trevor, I'm choking up here. Holy, dude. Dude, I haven't even watched Heated Rivalry, and I'm choking up here, man. And that wasn't, Trevor, that wasn't what you're thinking. That type of joke of choking. It's an emotional story, Trevor. Okay, Trevor? I haven't seen one episode yet, but your head's in the wrong place. Anyways, comment. Man, oh man, it's crazy because, since we're opening this up and talking more about hockey in general and just not the Canucks, there's comments now about the Olympics, blah, blah, blah. But I kind of still want to stick to the Canucks just to tail off the show and stick more specifically to Trevor. And look at this comment from Mike Laval, referencing Trevor's question that almost had him, getting a foot up the ass the other night. Mike Laval saying we need more honest reporters like you. And dude, I'm going to put Trevor on the spot right now just because I'm a troll. And Trevor, I hope you don't take this serious. We're just joking around here. But yo, dude, who's going to be the first one to ask Elias Pettersson if he's down to stick around for a rebuild? That question and that answer, like, I don't want to say it's going to make noise, but I do feel as if it's an answer that needs to be heard. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to know.
Absolutely.
Is he committed to doing his best this offseason to be the best leader, even though he's going to be playing on a shitty team? Or is he going to be mailing it in and just collecting checks? Or just, waiting for the guys waiting for the prospects to lift them up. I don't know. Just, I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's funny. I've run this by a couple other reporters, just, my thoughts on it. And, one of the recommendations was, this is a better question to ask later in the season. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I kind of feel like this is something that is prevalent now, especially with the trade deadline coming up. Some talk, I don't think it's super substantial. Some talk that he could even be gone before the NHL trade deadline. Look, even when JP Barry talked to Rick Dhaliwal last week, I thought there was some ambiguity there about how it's obviously got to be a situation that works for both sides. And he tried to downplay it, but he certainly wasn't as gung-ho about Pettersson staying like Alan Walsh was about Philip Hronek, or even like JP Barry was about another one of his clients, Tyler Myers. So I think there's ambiguity here, and I think it's something Canucks fans deserve to know is, does Pettersson want to stick around for this rebuild? I mean, I'm not convinced of it. I'm almost convinced he's not going to give a great answer, but it's a question that needs to be asked. Absolutely.
100%. And Trevor, I got to sneeze, so can you just do your news and notes?
Yeah, no problem at all. Okay, so Canucks practice today. Philip Hronek missed a second straight day, but we were told that he will be in the lineup tonight. Philip Hedl, they're trying him out on the wing. Adam Foote said that it's something that Philip Hedl wanted to try out himself, which I found interesting. Kyle, I know you were preaching for a long time about putting Hedl on the Pettersson line. He's not there. It's Evander Kane playing with Pettersson and Garland right now. But I think Hedl and Pettersson would still be something that would be interesting to see, especially if you're going to experiment with him on the wing. And I think the other big story out of practice, too, is that the brothers are reunited. Liam Ogren and Jonathan Lekkerimäki. Guys that have, had success together in Sweden. We've talked about that before. Every Dares know. And now they'll be playing in a line tonight with Teddy Bluger. So very curious to see what those guys look like. Liam Ogren is, I think, been one of the more impressive Canucks on a really, really bad team. Lekkerimäki, I think, it's been so hard to judge him because he's been in and out of the lineup and sick and injured. He certainly hasn't done much at even strength. He's certainly more of a threat on the power play, but I'm just really curious to see if these guys can rekindle some chemistry. And I hope it gets more than a 1-game shot here.
Yeah, man, I've been impressed with Liam Ogren, and I feel like he's going to develop into somebody who does take this ish seriously. Like I view him as somebody who can connect with a guy like Tom Willander. Just be a bigger part of that room, and he's not taking this for granted. Trevor, Evander Kane, he's so openly on the block. His agent is working the phones to try to get him out of here, and he's still playing games for the Canucks. You see New York benching Carson Soucy and New Jersey benching Palat, and I know those trades are imminent, and boom, bam, next thing you know, they both go to the Islanders. You also see Panarin being shut down to the Olympic breaks. I know Evander Kane's not coveted like that, but for me, it's every draft pick matters. And if the Canucks are so focused on the rebuild, why is Evander Kane still playing games? I don't think he's going to boost his value. I don't. I really don't. I actually find this quite stupid, but now am I being an asshole? Because I don't think I am. It goes back to if other teams are doing it, why does Vancouver want to do things on their own accord? And a lot of times I do put on a pedestal individuality and paving your own way, but it's been over half a century and this team hasn't got shit done, and they continue to want to do things under their own philosophy. And I'm like, dude, everyone else is bent. I don't know why are we still playing Evander Kane if he's gonna get traded tomorrow? We're an injury away from not recouping another 4th or 5th round pick, and that to me is screaming this team's not serious about
Yeah, I mean, I thought about the other night, right? Who was it? I think Max Sasson that got scratched for Evander Kane, and yeah, I agree with you, man. It's no one needs to see any more of the Evander Kane experience here. My guess as to why they're playing him is I don't think he's getting traded until right up against the deadline. Like I don't think this guy's going before the Olympic break because he's not going to be a team's first option. He's going to be their second option, their third option, and even then the Canucks are going to have to retain salary. So, and I don't see any reason to play him, but I also don't see Adam Foote, sitting in for 10 games. So, and look, he's been playing on the first line for Christ's sakes. So, yeah, it's that's maybe another potential question for tonight too.
Oh, buddy, if you ask Adam Foote that question,
I've already asked the Evander Kane one, like why is he playing so much, and he kind of gave me nothing answer. But I did try to get an answer out of him.
Yeah, that's something else.
But doesn't hurt to ask again. Been a little bit.
Just make a name for yourself, Trevor. It's not like Adam Foote's going to be around here for a long time and hold a grudge against you forever, Anyways, that's another episode of Locked On Canucks. Hit the like button. Hit the links in the bio, too. Join the Discord. Again, our studio wrote a children's book. All the illustrations are done. I'm learning how to print out a book for the first time. It's going to be a beautiful book. It's going to change your kid's life or your money back. That's a lie, but the book is called How to Fly. It's about a star that wants to become a shooting star. Again, link in the bio. Join the waiting list, and you'll get a discount on the book. Trevor, you got anything else to say or just sign us out?
No, I think that's it, man. Covering home game number 15 of the season, and I expect my record to be 2-13 by the end of the night. That's my not so bold prediction. That was another episode of Locked On Canucks. One love to you and you, and you and you and you for tuning in. If you like what we're doing, hit the goddamn like button. Subscribe to the show on YouTube. It helps us out a lot. If you're listening on the podcast side, please go give us a follow. Leave us a 5-star review. Again, helps make my kids proud, man. My daughter wanted to listen to Uncle Kyle and Locked On Canucks this morning, so that made my day, man. That made my day. Hopefully we made your day, and if not, we'll try again tomorrow here on Locked On Canucks.
Peace.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.